Today we start the reading in section 2, Miracles as True Perception. I have stated that the basic concepts referred to in this course are not matters of degree. Certain fundamental concepts cannot be understood in terms of opposites. It is impossible to conceive of light and darkness for everything and nothing as joint possibilities. It is impossible to conceive of light and darkness or everything and nothing as joint possibilities, of course. They are all true or false. It is essential that you realize your thinking will be erratic until a firm commitment to one or the other is made. A firm commitment to darkness or nothingness, however, is impossible. No one has ever lived who has not experienced some light and something. No one, therefore, is able to deny truth totally, even if he thinks he can. So I do definitely experience this, how I vacillate between darkness and light, the ego's thought system and the Holy Spirit's thought system. And the only thing that helps me out of it is forgiveness, to invite the Holy Spirit to look at what I am thinking again and again and again. Give it to Him and listen to His teachings, His guidance, which is always the unity of mind, and that I am in God now. I am the Christ mind. I am in God now. And it's very helpful for me to understand that I cannot commit fully to darkness. No one can. No one can. Light is always in everyone. It's the spark that God put in every fragment. So no one, therefore, is able to deny truth totally. Even if he thinks he can, we will all come back to think with Holy Spirit. And to only think with Holy Spirit requires that I let go of everything in the illusion. And I'm not always willing to let go of everything in my illusion, in my perception. So I have to be very, very awake, very open to how do I say this, to look at my beliefs, even the beliefs that I want to keep, if I want to experience love and happiness continuously. Innocence is not a partial attribute. It is not real until it is total. I can absolutely testify to that, because I vacillate, I go back and forth in believing in innocence and seeing innocence around me, in everyone, including myself. So I will vacillate until it is a total belief in my belief system. And that is the happy dream. The partly innocent are apt to be quite foolish at times. Yes, I can attest to that. It is not until their innocence becomes a viewpoint with universal application that it becomes wisdom. I am on my way coming there. I'm not there yet, but I am on my way. I can feel it calling to me. Innocent or true perception means that you never misperceive and always see truly. I would love to be there. More simply, it means that you never see what does not exist and always see what does exist. Yeah. And here is where I am afraid that I will not see my grandchildren anymore. But since God have put the spark, the light inside of them as well, I will see them and I will see them as Christ. Yeah, I have to remind myself of that. I can't lose anything the Course teaches me. I can't lose anything. I just give up nothing and receive everything. When you lack confidence in what someone will do, you are attesting to your belief that he is not in his right mind. And frankly, I often believe that. I often believe that I am not in my right mind, and I often believe that fragments around me are not in the right mind. And I also believe that there are consequences, that it's some kind of danger not being in our right mind. And the Holy Spirit teaches me that everybody is in their right mind and the ego will come through them. And it is no consequence of nothing. The ego is nothing, so there can be no consequence in the real world from nothing. So I have nothing to be afraid of. When you lack confidence in what someone will do, you are attesting to your belief that he is not in his right mind. This is hardly a miracle-based frame of reference. It also has the disastrous effect of denying the power of the miracle. The miracle perceives everything as it is. If nothing but the truth exists, right-minded seeing cannot see anything but perfection. I have said that only what God creates, or what you create with the same will, has any real existence. This, then, is all the innocent can see. They do not suffer from distorted perception. So only what God creates, or what I create with the same will as God, has any real existence. The ego is a belief of my own. It's not created together with God's will, and therefore it does not exist. You are afraid of God's will because you have used your own mind, which He created in the likeness of His own, to miscreate. I have used my own mind that God created to miscreate. And I am afraid that God will punish me. So this I have to look at and give to the Holy Spirit, and listen to His guidance, listen to His teachings, so it can be undone. Undone means that I don't believe it anymore. I retract my belief from these miscreations. And since I'm not feeding my miscreations with my belief, they don't exist anymore because I don't believe in them anymore. They never existed in a true sense. They only existed in my belief system, and therefore I believed in them and believed that I experienced them. You are afraid of God's will because you have used your own mind, which he created in the likeness of his to miscreate. The mind can miscreate only when it believes it is not free. And this put freedom and to be free in a totally different perspective that I'm used of. I'm used to think that freedom is to be free in time to do whatever I want, to be free geographically to live wherever I want to live, to do what I want to do with my time. And these are all choices in the illusion. So I can never be truly free, even if I choose to be free geographically and time-wise and money-wise and relationship-wise. No, I will not experience freedom. Freedom is to be who I am, and I am as God created me, and I'm only free when I think with God's will, and I align my will with God's will. The mind can miscreate only when it believes it is not free, when I believe that I am not free, but I'm not as God created me. An imprisoned mind is not free because it is possessed or held back by itself. So I'm not held back by the ego. It may seem that way. I am held back by myself because I choose to believe in this little crazy idea that I could separate from God, the ego. And when I put my whole power of belief in the ego, it seems to exist, but it doesn't. So my mind is possessed by myself. It is therefore limited. And the will is not free to assert itself. So my will is not free to be aligned with God's because I have put limits on it when I believe in the ego. To be one is to be of one mind or will. I can only be free when I am one with God's mind, God's will. Then the will of the sonship and the Father are one. Their perfect accord is heaven. Nothing can prevail against a Son of God who commends his spirit into the hands of his Father. And I can feel the calling to align my will with God's will. I can feel the calling, and it's a very, very strong calling. And I just want to listen to that calling, speak from that calling, live from that calling. Nothing can prevail against a Son of God who commends his spirit into the hands of his Father. By doing this, the mind awakens from its sleep and remember its creator. All sense of separation disappears. The Son of God is part of the Holy Trinity, but the Trinity itself is one. There is no confusion within its levels because they are of one mind and of one will. This single purpose creates perfect integration and establishes the peace of God. Yet this vision can be perceived only by the truly innocent. I have to forgive myself all the way back to remember fully that I am innocent, that nothing have happened. I have never hurt God. I have never hurt myself. I have never hurt a brother. It is all well. This single purpose creates perfect integration and establish the peace of God. Yet this vision can be perceived only by the truly innocent because their hearts are pure. The innocent defend true perception instead of defending themselves against it. Understanding the lesson of the atonement, they are without the wish to attack, and therefore they see truly. This is what the Bible means when it says, when he shall appear or be perceived, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. The way to correct distortions is to withdraw your faith in them. The way to correct distortions is to withdraw your faith in them and invest it only in what is true. So this is our function here, to see the distortions and be willing to receive the correction, which means that I withdraw my faith, my beliefs in the distortions, and I only invest in what is true, that I am as God created me. You cannot make untrue true. I can't make untrue true. Oh, it's such freedom in that statement. I cannot make untrue true. I cannot make this world of illusions true. It doesn't matter how much I fantasize about it here. It's still not the truth. I cannot make untrue true. If you are willing to accept what is true in everything you perceive, you let it be true for you. I would like to live in that way. Truth overcomes all error, and those who live in error and emptiness can never find lasting solace. So I can relate so much to live in emptiness. I have often felt the emptiness in my life, and I have wanted to run away from it. I have wanted to distract myself from the emptiness. And a part of waking up is to be aware of the emptiness. These are the first lessons in the workbook. But be aware of the emptiness and the meaningless and the hopelessness, and know that it's not true. Know that this is me identifying with the ego and feeling what the ego feels, because the ego is nothing, so it is empty. And by inviting the Holy Spirit to look at this emptiness, I will come back to the fullness of spirit, which is who I truly am. I just want to check this word. Solace means consolation. Oh, consolement. Psychological comfort given to someone who has suffered severe, upsetting loss. Absolutely. Yeah, totally. I see that. If you perceive truly, you are canceling out misperceptions in yourself and in others simultaneously. And this you can experience when you listen to someone who is aligned with spirit. They just bring you back to remember who you are, and you feel the fullness. So you are then canceling out misperceptions in yourself and in others simultaneously, because you see them as they are. You offer them your acceptance of their truth so they can accept it for themselves. This is the healing that the miracle induces. This is why I enjoy to read A Course in Miracles. I also enjoy to listen to people who are canceling out misperceptions, who are talking from truth, then I come back to truth myself. Section 3, perception versus knowledge. We have been emphasizing perception and have said very little about knowledge as yet. This is because perception must be straightened out before you can know anything. So the Course distinguish between perception and knowledge. And knowledge is the immediate knowing of what is true that we have in heaven, remembering we are one with God. Perception is an interpretation of what we see through, hear through, experience through this communication device made by the ego. And this communication device made by the ego was made in order to deceive us. So we cannot trust what we see, what we hear, what we taste, smells, and what we feel. We have to give it to the Spirit to interpretate with the Spirit's knowledge of who we are. So perception is always an interpretation. Knowledge is pure knowing. So to know is to be certain. Uncertainty means that you do not know. Knowledge is power because it is certain, and certainty is strength. Perception is temporary. As an attribute of the belief in space and time, it is subject to either fear or love. Misperceptions produce fear, and true perceptions foster love. But neither brings certainty, because all perceptions varies. That is why it is not knowledge. True perception is the basis for knowledge, but knowing is the affirmation of truth and beyond all perceptions. And this true perception is like mirroring heaven, and it's also called the happy dream. So all we do here is perception. Here in the illusion, it's all perception, regardless if we think with Holy Spirit and the ego. Thinking with the Holy Spirit, it mirrors the truth, but it's not the truth, it's still perception. All your difficulties stem from the fact that you do not recognize yourself, your brother, or God. And I don't, when I just live on here in the illusion, I don't understand that all my difficulties stem from the fact that I do not recognize myself, my brother, or God. I don't see that. I believe that it's maybe a money problem or a weather problem or a food problem or whatever. It's not. All my difficulties stem from the fact that I do not recognize myself, my brother, or God. I don't know who I am. I don't know who you are, and I don't know who God is. So to recognize means to know again. To recognize means know again, implying that you knew before. So I used to know who I am, who my brother is, and who God is. But I have forgotten, and I have put all my faith in the ego. So to recognize means to know again, implying that you knew before. You can see in many ways because perception involves in interpretation now. And this means that it is not whole or consistent. The miracle, being a way of perceiving, is not knowledge. So the miracle is not knowledge. The miracle is a way of perceiving. So it's a way of interpreting. The miracle, being a way of perceiving, is not knowledge. It is the right answer to a question, but you do not question when you know. So when I believe that I know, I don't question. This is a trap I fall into a lot. I believe that I know, and then I don't question. And then I don't open up for the Holy Spirit's interpretation. It is the right answer to a question, but you do not question when you know. Questioning illusions is the first step in undoing them. So it is easier to start questioning illusions that I perceive as a problem. Illusions that I perceive as right or desirable, I don't question. And questioning illusions is the first step in undoing them. I have to undo all the illusions in order to only think with one voice, with the Holy Spirit. Questioning illusions is the first step in undoing them. The miracle, or the right answer, corrects them. Since perception change, their dependence on time is obvious. How you perceive at any given time determines what you do. And actions must occur in time. Knowledge is timeless because certainty is not questionable. You know when you have ceased to ask questions. So when I cease to ask questions, then I know. The questioning mind perceives itself in time and therefore looks for future answers. The closed mind believes the future and the present will be the same. The questioning mind perceives itself in time and therefore looks for future answers. The closed mind believes the future and the present will be the same. This establishes a seemingly stable state that is usually an attempt to counteract an underlying fear that the future will be worse than the present. This fear inhabits the tendency to question at all, inhibits, the tendency to question at all. So when we don't question anything, we accept the ego, and we try to create a status quo because we are afraid of what the future might hold. And there is a phase of a lot of questions, and a lot of questions with the ego, where the questions are more stating what the ego sees as obvious, stating the separation. And the answers from A Course in Miracles will not answer to validate the statement that the separation is true. So the answers will always be what you don't expect. Because the answers from A Course in Miracles comes from the whole mind, the Christ mind, who knows. who is in knowledge and knows what is true and what is false, and it will answer you from the truth. But a lot of us just stay in this comfort zone of not questioning our thoughts at all. And it's like living in a I don't know, like a gray zone of trying to not challenge the status quo. True vision is the natural perception of spiritual sight. True vision is the natural perception of spiritual sight. But it is still a correction rather than a fact. Spiritual sight is symbolic and therefore not a device for knowing. It is, however, a means of right perception, which brings it into the proper domain of the miracle. A vision of God would be a miracle rather than a revelation. This fact that perception is involved at all removes this fact that perception is involved at all removes the experience from the realm of knowledge. This is why visions, however holy, do not last. So even the vision of God is a symbol. I do see only symbols here. And it is miracle perception. It is the right-minded perception, but it is not knowledge. It's not truth. It's mirroring the truth. The Bible tells you to know yourself or to be certain. Certainty is always of God. When you love someone, you have perceived him as he is. And this makes it possible for you to know him. Until you first perceive him as he is, you cannot know him. While you ask questions about him, you are clearly implying that you don't know God. Certainty does not require action. And I can relate to that. When I am in right-mindedness and I am certain of God and that I am as God created me, it's just stillness and nothing in the illusion can change that. Nothing in the illusion really matters. So certainly it does not require action. And it's interesting to see how it plays out when a colleague of mine perceives that something terrible has happened, and I don't perceive it as that, and I don't act as if it is terrible. It is just a no action, and how that calms everybody down. It's very interesting to see. When you say you are acting on the basis of knowledge, you are really confusing knowledge with perception. Knowledge provides the strength for creative thinking. Knowledge provides the strength for creative thinking, but not for right doing. Perception, miracles, and doing are closely related. Knowledge is the result of revelation and induces only thought. Even in its most spiritualized form, perception involves the body. Knowledge comes from the altar within, and it and is timeless. Knowledge comes from the altar within and is timeless because it is certain. Absolutely. And I'm thinking of, I've been studying the arts and literature and um, culture expressions, and the classic ones are always timeless. It's so interesting to see. It doesn't matter uh, the time, if it is ancient Greece or if it's in Russia in the 1800s or something. It doesn't really matter. The um, it's very clear and timeless because it is certain, and I can relate to it. To perceive the truth is not the same as to know it. All right. So symbolically, we can receive the truth, but to know the truth is something timeless and something you can't really touch or put words on. You can feel it. And I think it is like it's transmitted to each other because we are one in mind. That's why it's timeless and time doesn't matter. Right perception is necessary before God can communicate directly to his altars, which he established in his Son. There he can communicate his certainty, and his knowledge will bring peace without question. God is not a stranger to his Son, and his sons are not strangers to each other. Knowledge precedes both perception and time and will ultimately replace them. That is the real meaning of Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. And before Abraham was, I am. Perception can and must be stabilized, but knowledge is stable. Oh, I experience that perception is stabilizing, that I am more and more stable in the illusion, and that my perception is more and more stabilized. And it's wonderful to read that knowledge is stable, and I understand that it is. Fear God and keep his commandments becomes know God and keep and accept his certainty. Oh, definitely. I am such a yes to that. Know God and accept his certainty. I don't know what it means really, but I say yes. I want that certainty. I want that stability. If you attack error in another, you will hurt yourself. You can not know your brother when you attack him. Attack is always made upon a stranger. You are making him a stranger by misperceiving him, and so you cannot know him. And we do this all the time. We want to misperceive others because we want to put blame on they act in really strange ways, and we judge them, and then we can put the blame on them, and we believe that we go free. And it's not true. This is just the ego's way of handling everything. And this is the direct opposite. And it's not easy to see sometimes how we attack another person because we believe we are right. We think we know that we are in our right to judge somebody else because they did something wrong. And by doing that, I put up my innocent face and I say somebody else is to blame, is to attack myself. I am making my brother a stranger by misperceiving him. I'm not seeing Christ in him. And then I can't know him. And it is because I have made him a stranger that I am afraid of him. Perceive him correctly so that you can know him. And I won't be afraid. There are no strangers in God's creation. Can you believe that? There are no strangers in God's creation. We are all one. To create as He created, you can create only what you know. To create as He created you, you can create only what you know and therefore accept as yours. God knows His children with perfect certainty. He created them by knowing them. He recognizes them perfectly. When they do not recognize each other, they do not recognize Him. So when I am judging somebody else, I am not recognizing who I am, and I don't recognize God. I am very grateful that I can give all these situations to the Holy Spirit. And He will help me undo them. All right. Tomorrow we read Error and the Ego.